And now, the trailer from Without a Net, The Digital Divide in America, produced by our underwriter, Verizon.
The way that our robots work is we have code on a laptop that we can then download onto the brain of the robot here.
Today in school, I don't think I will use a computer at all. Our hopes for the future are very technology dependent.
Not having internet has been difficult because most everything is internet based, so there's a lot more stress on the students to find a way to actually do their homework.
It's just exciting knowing that I'm going to go to college, like my dream is coming true.
We grew up living poor. We want to see what it's like to have a chance.
And now, for a session produced by our underwriter, please welcome the Mayor of the City of Columbus, Andrew Ginther, and Michelle Robinson, Vice President of Government Affairs for Verizon.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Michelle Robinson with Verizon, and I am very delighted to be here. You've already heard some today and just saw in the film's trailer that there is an alarming technology and resources gap in our nation's public schools that I think most people have a sense for, but if we pull back the covers a little bit, I think we're unaware of really what's behind some of it. It's a complex issue that spans across technology, connectivity, teacher training, and it will require a diverse group of stakeholders working together to move the needle. This includes state and federal, along with local government officials, alongside with nonprofit organizations and the private sector, and that's partly why we're here now. So, in Verizon's view, the lack of awareness around this issue is one of the reasons why we partnered with Academy Award-nominated director Rory Kennedy on the documentary that you just saw a clip of, just to help bring this issue to life. We want to elevate the visibility of the problem and stimulate conversations around impactful solutions to support our nation's most precious assets, our kids. And I'll just encourage you to watch the documentary in its entirety. It's on digitaldivide.com. And there you can also learn a lot more about how you can get involved. And I can't help but think when I was watching even just the trailer and I've seen the documentary that those students that have that access to that technology, have those teachers who know how to leverage it in the classroom, have the equipment they need, they feel optimistic about their futures. If we don't get this right, they will be fixing this problem for those that don't have all those same access and resources and teachers that can leverage it. So as you think about the issue, you're probably wondering, well, how many students right here in the city of Columbus are caught in this gap? Well, lucky for us, we have Mayor Ginther here with us to help us discuss this in detail. So thank you, Mayor, for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time here. Oh, now can you hear me? That's great. So I want to talk with you a little bit about the digital divide in your city and how we can use local solutions to begin to fix the problem, not only here, but nationwide. So to start, Mayor, let me ask you, how serious a problem do you view the digital divide as being in Columbus?
It's an issue that we take very seriously. It's one of the things we're really focused on is trying to make sure that every family in every neighborhood is sharing in this success story that is Columbus. I mean, many great things are happening in our city, fastest growing economy in the Midwest, lowest unemployment, 25 years, AAA bond rating from all three rating agencies. But we know a third of the folks living in our city aren't sharing in that success story. And so part of that is access to these critical pieces to thrive in today's economy. You know, if the greatest challenge of the 21st century is how do we leverage and use innovation and technology to help people improve their own lives, and we have this gap that continues to persist, it's going to undermine our success as a city, as a region, not to mention miss out on an opportunity to leverage some of our greatest assets, our young people here in this community, unless we can bridge this gap together.
Yeah, I agree with that. So have you thought about any strategies, or are you aware of any strategies that you think have been helpful in closing that divide? What worked, what's worked, and what hasn't?
Well, we know that, with respect to access to technology in the classroom and that students have, there's still a huge gap between wealthier school districts and less wealthier school districts in the state of Ohio. There's a portion of funding that comes from the state and then local property tax revenue. And particularly where a lot of the technology resources come from, it's from local property tax payers. And so that discrepancy in and of itself funds that gap and that disparity. So it's been public-private partnerships. We now have 30,000 of our kids in Columbus City schools that have access to technology that didn't just a couple of years ago. That still isn't keeping up with their suburban counterparts here and around the state and the country. But we know that through public-private partnerships and winning the Smart City Challenge, very much rooted in our Smart Columbus effort, is trying to help us bridge that divide and bridge that gap with access to technology here in the city. And so it's with private partners that we've stepped up and seen how we can work together to expand access to technology to help young people and their parents.
So, completely agree on public-private partnerships. In many cases, we've seen, those groups I mentioned earlier, governments at all levels, private sector, nonprofits come together for that purpose, and I always think that generates wonderful outcomes. At Verizon, we've done a little bit of research. We have some proprietary data that touches on something I mentioned a moment ago, and you kind of see a hint of it in the trailer in the documentary. And that is students who, have access to technology, have that connectivity, are in environments where you have dynamic teachers really leveraging it, feel that they are equipped, feel optimistic, or feel confident about their ability to go forth in the world and do whatever it is their heart desires. The students that don't, right? And so I guess my question is, have you seen this at play? Have you encountered this among students in this community?
Not only can technology further exacerbate the disparity and the gap that exists, but let's flip it on its head and think about it differently. What great opportunity is there for us if we empower, those 11-year-olds, regardless of where they live, and they have equal access not just to technology, because we know the technology in and of itself is not going to bridge that gap and divide. There has to be the support, the educational support, the educational leadership, the commitment to make sure that that young person knows how to use it, is using it and leveraging it in positive and productive ways. What a great opportunity that regardless of where you live in the city, that if you have access to technology and the support that's needed to use it and leverage it, that's not going to control your destiny. And your trajectory can be set based on your access and how you use it.
Yeah, that's great. So Mayor, what does it mean for the city of Columbus and the rest of the nation if kids don't have access to technology resources in school? What are the ramifications down the road for business, for global competitiveness? What does it mean at the end of the day?
Well, obviously, the disparity will grow. You will have a greater chasm between have and the have-nots. I'm reminded of some of the themes in Robert Putnam's book, Our Kids, the growing gap that is existing, that some identify birth to 5. You think about, you lay on top of that a disparity and a gap around technology and what that further does to that gap. I choose to look at it a different way, and that is if we make a commitment, if we align our resources strategically between public-private partnerships, the Columbus way, because we believe that we do public-private partnerships better here than anywhere else in the country, think about the doors of opportunity and access that we can open by making sure that young people in this community have access to technology and the support and training that they need to leverage it and take advantage of it. So that big question of the 21st century that I opened with, they're going to be actively engaged in helping to find solutions.
Yeah, that's right. That at the federal level, I know that the FCC, which thinks a lot about these issues, views this as a clear global competitiveness issue.
Absolutely.
So we've got to get this right, which is, of course, why we're here.
I mean, if you think of mobility being the great equalizer with respect to transit and access to education and jobs and other things, another pillar and essence of Smart Columbus, access to technology and the resources and the support and education to be able to use it and leverage it, I think it's an incredible equalizer as we enter this next stage. Global competitiveness, workforce development for Columbus, Central Ohio, and America.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned a couple times public-private partnerships and Columbus being a place where they seem to work. Can you give folks a sense or an example of what you're referring to?
Well, there are all types of them. You know, I'll use the Smart Columbus effort as the most recent example. It was a $40 million award from USDOT, $10 million from Vulcan. At the time of submission, we had over $90 million in local match made of public-private resources to bring to bear if we were awarded that. That is now up over $500 million of public-private partnership to really use that to build that integrated data exchange, kind of the operating system, if you will, of Smart Columbus, that's really going to transform mobility, access to opportunity, and our hope, access to information and technology for future generations. It will literally transform the way you get around and the way you are able to access jobs and opportunity in the future. That's a great example, one we're very proud of here.
What a vision you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I appreciate you, Mayor, for taking time from your day to, talk about this important issue with us, not only here in Columbus, but some of the solutions and some of the forward thinking you have that can bring to bear positively on solutions. Hopefully they'll spread throughout and we can impact the nation. And now I'm going to ask the mayor to stay with me just for a few moments as I welcome our last guest to the stage. Will Dr. Annalies Corbin please come up? Thank you and welcome.
Hello, thank you very much.
So Dr. Corbin's leadership as president and CEO of the PAST Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization based here in the city of Columbus, this foundation is working with schools and school districts to develop transformative learning strategies by using an intensive hands-on approach with administrators and teachers. Today, I'm really pleased to announce that Verizon is making a donation in the amount of $100,000 to the PAST Foundation to help with their efforts to close the digital divide. Dr. Corbin, thank you for your leadership and keep it up. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. PAST Foundation is deeply honored. Thank you very much, Michelle, and the Verizon Foundation, and thank you, Mayor Ginther, for sharing the stage. We are very excited and passionate about the work that we do at the foundation, and we're particularly excited about the opportunity to impact so many students. The things that we just saw on the screens and the conversation that you were having, that's exactly the work that we do. And over the years that we've been working, we've been able to impact just shy of 150,000 students. Wow. And we are so incredibly proud of that. And with bringing on the new PAST Innovation Lab here in Columbus, and the gift from Verizon, we have the opportunity to have that many more students go through our STEM-based programs. And it's everything from drones and mobility and robotics. But the most important thing is that all of those students thanks to this gift, about 800 new students will be able to go through the programs just this academic year and summer. Yes, we're very excited about that. And the goal is to expose as many students as possible to the very technologies, the very opportunities that we've been talking about here today. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees and all the staff, thank you so very much. We appreciate it greatly.
You're welcome, Dr. Corbin, and thank you for your dedication, and thank you to Mayor for engaging in this conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks
And
for
thank
having
you
us.
all too for being here.